The IDB is currently supporting the University of Guyana and the Central Housing Planning Authority efforts to develop an open mapping community in Guyana. Our interest is that there is capacity building in the geographic information systems topics, so that there can be a bigger community that can contribute to the government's work in all this area. I'm currently helping facilitate the workshop on how to map on OpenStreetMap. Right now we're basically just teaching them how to do digital mapping on OpenStreetMap. That basically means that we're using satellite imagery to trace the location of roads and buildings, and then that produces digital open data that anyone can use. We have students from different levels of education, like bachelor degree and secondary education. We are just aiming at producing local capacity building in the use and generation of open geographic data. I've participated on the creation of open communities in other countries, and it's a very slow process, but we see a lot of interest here in Guyana, so we're very excited that this is happening.
Basically, this is Geography Awareness Week. So it's celebrated on the third week in November. So this year, that week falls from the 12th of November to the 18th of November. That's Geography Awareness Week. And we abbreviated to call it Geo Week. So Geo Week is the week where we raise awareness and try to build capacity, do lots of events involving geography. On the Wednesday of that week, we celebrate what is called Geographic Information System Day, which is GIS Day. And this year, we've actually celebrated that day for the last 3 years, if I remember correctly. And this year, we decided to have an OpenStreetMap Mapathon. That's how we're observing that day. So what is OpenStreetMap? It's basically a map that is online, and it can be edited by ordinary citizens. So the OpenStreetMapathon is a coordinated mapping event that is held here at the Center for Information Technology. And we basically bring together high school students, the members of the public who are interested, and students of University of Guyana who has always been supportive in this initiative, and particularly the School of Earth and Environmental Sciences.
GIS, Geographic Information Systems, is a really important technology, especially for developing countries. At GPL, we are building a GIS. This is to help us manage our assets spread all across the country, from Anhui, China, all the way to Corriverton. So our interest in supporting this event every year has been because we'd like to build awareness amongst students, people who we might hire later on when they graduate, in the use of this technology. Today, the use of OpenStreetMap is just one way of introducing people into the whole idea of GIS. It's a gentle mapping tool. It's available to everybody. Any citizen can use it to improve the map and the information about their community. It'll allow us to know, because our operations are spread all across the coast, as it were, of the country. We say all across the country, but all across the coast of the country. That's about 300 kilometers. And everything from figuring out our maintenance schedules to figuring out where things are, what are the distances between things. The GIS will allow us to have a much easier grasp of that than we did previously. Because some of that was done manually, and that takes time. It'd be better to have an information system that could do it for you.
Usually we facilitate the hosting and we collaborate with ministry agencies to pull the event together, bring about awareness with regard to Geography Week in general and GIS Day particularly. We are exposing them to the OpenStreetMap platform and very specific tools. We'll also be exposing them to mobile data collection apps which they can use from their smartphones. We would like students to be more involved in terms of how we go about mapping and basically to understand how they can contribute to these types of activities, and that it's not necessarily only held within ministry agencies or the University of Guyana, but the fact that citizens in general can contribute to these mapping initiatives.
We are putting in place the means to capture the data because there's a lot of data to be captured. We are putting in place the way that the manner in which we would process it. We're trying to make that as automated as possible because it's a lot of data. And then we're also putting in place a way to distribute that information out to our staff, first of all, so that the staff and managers and directors can make better decisions based on information, based on current information. I think if we have more up-to-date information on not only our assets, but where our customers are, for instance, where there might be growth in the number of customers, we can certainly do better planning. If you have current information, you can always do better planning. I think we're getting good bang for buck because some of the systems that we're investing in, we're using open source software. So we're trying to do this in a way that doesn't cost the company and the country a lot of money, unnecessarily. Some things you have no choice, but you have to buy, you have to pay for the service, and some things take time to do as well. But where possible, we're constantly exploring ways of doing it at a more efficient manner, doing it in a cheaper manner.
People at CHMPA, people at the university are already being trained to use all these tools. So if anyone else has interest in this kind of platforms, please approach these institutions because they'll be able to help you.